What's going on, everybody? Welcome to 5 Minutes on Crypto. I'm here to demystify cryptocurrencies for you and to get you started in this market of the future right away. To understand how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies exactly work, there is no way of getting around cryptographic hash functions. They are considered to be the heart of cryptocurrencies and are what makes these currencies so secure and anonymous. The cryptographic hash function is basically just a mathematical function, which for simplicity we will just consider as some magical black box. If we feed something into this black box, let's say 100, we get an output which looks like this. Well, I agree with you that this looks a little weird, but that's simply because it's represented in the hexadecimal system. Let's not care about this for now and just consider the output to be a sequence of some characters. And let's call this thing a hash. The important characteristic about this hash is that it's exactly 64 characters long, or expressed in bits, 256 bits. In fact, no matter what we feed in from the left, the output will always be exactly 256 bits long. This is why our black box function is called SHA-256. It was originally developed by the NSA and is considered to be one of the most essential functions in cryptography. And instead of just using numbers as inputs, we can basically feed anything into this function. Documents, videos, or anything else you can store on a computer. The output is always 64 characters long. For now, let's consider a little text snippet, 5 minutes on crypto. As you can see, the output changes entirely, but we've also used an entirely different input, right? What if we only change one character in the input? For example, if we substitute the 5 with a 4. As you can see, the output changes entirely again, even though only one character in the input changed. In fact, you cannot predict how the output will change if you make an alteration to the input, no matter how insignificant that alteration may be. This function is often referred to as a one-way function. If you're only given the right-hand side, the output hash, you cannot infer on the input that produced this hash. So that's pretty interesting, but how can this be useful? Let's consider an example. Alice loves online shopping, especially in her favorite online shop, the 5 Minutes on Crypto online shop. To log into the online shop, Alice needs a password. On the other side, the 5 Minutes on Crypto online shop needs to verify that this password is correct every time Alice logs in. But how does it do that? One possibility would be to store Alice's password in its database. However, this is considered to be super insecure. Why? Because if a hacker gets access to the database, he will have Alice's password right in front of him in plain text. Instead, the 5 Minutes on Crypto online shop can simply store the hash of Alice's password. Every time Alice logs in, the 5 Minutes on Crypto online shop will feed the password into our magical black box, and then compare it to the one that is stored in the database. So Alice still needs her original password, but the 5 Minutes on Crypto online shop does not need to store it in plain text. If a hacker now gets access to the database, he will only get the hash of Alice's password. To find Alice's actual password, which he would need to be able to log into the online shop, he will have to do trial and error with different inputs. In fact, he will need to try out 2 to the power of 256 different combinations. That is a 1 with 77 zeros. As you can imagine, this would take an eternity, so cracking this algorithm is considered to be almost impossible. Now let's get to the summary. So a cryptographic hash function is just a mathematical function that can take numbers, text documents, or anything else you can store on a computer and always returns an output of fixed size, a so-called hash. One of these functions is called SHA-256, and it produces hashes that are always 256 bits long. If you're only given the output hash of this function, it would be almost impossible to infer on the input. So the function can only be computed in one way. Now that you know what a cryptographic hash function is, check out my next video to see how this cryptographic hash function is applied in cryptocurrencies. Stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button.